The man raised his voice. He raised his fake badge. And then, he raised his gun. But what he didn't raise was his awareness. Because the woman standing in front of him, the one he thought he could intimidate, wasn't just any suburban wife. She was Delta Force. Not retired. Not ex-military. Still, actively serving. And in less than 10 seconds, that fake enforcer was on the ground, his weapon in her hand, crying for help. Welcome to the wildest HOA story you'll ever hear. We moved into the neighborhood for peace and quiet. A nice 3-bedroom home with a 2-car garage and a big yard. My wife and I had been through a lot together, deployments, relocations, non-stop stress. So when we finally settled into this sleepy suburban community, it felt like we could finally breathe. The neighbors waved. The lawns were trimmed. It was picture perfect. For the first week. The first incident was almost laughable. My wife had turned half of the garage into a mini gym. Nothing fancy, just a pull-up bar, some free weights, a punching bag. She trained early in the morning. As a Delta Force operator, discipline wasn't optional. Then one morning, a letter showed up taped to our door. It was from the HOA. Your home is violating community standards. Excessive noise. Public disturbance. Intimidating behavior. Intimidating? She was doing burpees, not launching missiles. We laughed. Crumpled it. Tossed it. But we should have known. These people weren't playing around. Within days, we noticed a pattern. HOA board members started parking outside our house, just sitting in their cars. Watching. A neighbor came by and whispered that some of them were ex-cops, guys who took their positions way too seriously. Still, we ignored it. We weren't doing anything wrong. But then they started leaving notes on her car. And then, came the knock. It was around 7 a.m. on a Thursday. I was inside making coffee. My wife had just finished her morning set when 3 men in tactical gear walked up the driveway. Black boots. Bulletproof vests. Hats with HOA enforcement, stitched in white. One of them knocked hard. My wife opened the door. You're under HOA review. Step outside. She didn't flinch. What code am I breaking? She asked. One of them flashed a metal badge. Looked like it came from a cereal box. You're disturbing the peace. We're authorized to detain until further review. That's when I walked out, phone in hand. You're not law enforcement. Back off. But then, one of them reached for his hip. He pulled a handgun. My body froze. But not hers. My wife didn't scream. She didn't panic. She smiled. I knew that look. I'd seen it overseas. It was the look she gave before taking down insurgents. The fake officer took a step forward. And that's when she moved. In less than a second, she shifted her weight, grabbed the man's wrist, twisted it upward, and the gun dropped. She swept his legs, slammed him on the ground, and had the weapon in her hand before he even realized he was disarmed. The other 2 froze. One actually said, "Whoa, what are you?" She leaned over, still holding the gun. Delta Force. And still active. You messed with the wrong wife. The 2 backed away, hands in the air. I finally dialed 911. And within minutes, the real cops were there. When the police arrived, they quickly separated everyone. They asked for her ID. She handed them her military credentials. They looked at the fake enforcers and just shook their heads. You impersonated law enforcement, one officer said. No sir, we're HOA security. You're not licensed. You're not registered. And you're not armed legally. The 3 were cuffed on the spot. Turns out, one of them had a suspended firearm license. The worst part? 2 of them were active members of the HOA board. The HOA tried to distance themselves immediately. They weren't acting under our authority. They were volunteers, not official personnel. But email leaks proved otherwise. These guys had been coordinating operations for months, calling themselves Neighborhood Tactical Response. They even had internal documents rating homeowners on threat levels. My wife was listed as level 5, combat trained. Watch closely. We weren't just targeted. We were profiled. Lawsuits followed. The HOA was forced to pay damages. The story made the local news, then national outlets. My wife became a quiet hero in our town, though she never asked for the attention. The 3 fake officers were charged with impersonating law enforcement, brandishing a firearm, and harassment. Our neighbors? They were shocked. But many admitted they'd been scared to speak up for years. That fear ended the day she stood her ground. Today, everything's quiet. No more letters. No more watches. My wife still trains every morning, garage door wide open. The same neighbors who once complained now wave and smile. The HOA was restructured. Board members were replaced. And nobody pretends to be a cop anymore. There's a new sign on our mailbox. It doesn't say, "Beware of dog." It says, "Trained soldier lives here. Proceed carefully." If you think your HOA is bad, just be glad they haven't tried forming their own militia. And if they ever do, pray they don't knock on the door of someone who's dealt a force. Like, share, subscribe, for more stories of justice served and egos crushed.